Welcome back to the Fly the Flag podcast. We're a mortgage show for mortgage people talking about mortgage things. As always, I'm Mike Faraci, and this is, I actually pointed the right direction. This is Jonny Fowler. How you doing, brother?
I am doing wonderful and fantastic. I am so glad to be here. There has been just busy going on in my life, and I have missed you. I have missed doing this.
It's been too long.
It's been too long. I'm glad we have inventory, so it keeps going out and all of those things. That's because you're so brilliant. Your content is amazing.
You're the one person who believes that. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
And I do want to talk about that at some point, about how great your content is, how great your videos are. But I just made this whirlwind trip. On Tuesday, I went to Detroit to spend some time and do a modern marketing for Mike Hajar. And then I had to haul ass and leave. I flew from Detroit to New York, back to Houston. And you saw it yesterday, so I could interview the world famous Julie Ziegler, daughter of Zig Ziglar, who's been on stage with him, all of those things, and still part of the Ziglar Institute. And then now, this is so cool because at the end of next month, I'm the keynote speaker for a group that I've done for the past 3 years in a row. Even through COVID, we did it virtually. It's called the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. IAHSP is what they call it. And all industries love a good acronym, don't they? Oh, that's the truth. You need a BOA, book of acronyms, to know.
There you go. Yes, there we go.
But so I've been with this group, and I'm so blessed. I get to be the keynote for this event. But we have her today, the woman who actually has put this system together, done everything. And I'm telling you, every single time, I've known her for, I guess, about 4 years now. And every single time we talk, I learn something new about what's going on and how things work. So I really want you guys to meet. I want you to talk to each other, and let's interview her and find out what it is, because it's not at all what you think it is.
Well, then, without further ado, let's welcome in our special guest for today. Hello, Jennie rhymes with Penny from the block, Norris.
Hi.
That's awesome.
Not in a bottle.
That's right.
On the block.
And before we get into anything, I do want to say, Jonny, you sound fantastic today. Speaking of acronyms, it seems like you satisfied a little bit of GAS, gear acquisition syndrome, and got yourself a new microphone. You're sounding good.
I did, and it was a lot of it was because of you. It was your gear acquisition that you've made over the past 5 or 6 months on upgrading and getting more systems. Your videos are absolutely through the roof. Even your standby mic is better. And I was one of those people, and maybe I'll get some cease and desist letters from Yeti. I don't know, but you
won't. And you're not alone. The Yeti Blue, the Yeti Blue microphone is just no longer. It's no longer the best value USB mic out there. There's so many better options. Sure. I actually just finished yesterday putting together a list of gear recommendations for different levels. So the beginner, intermediate, expert, and professional. And that microphone that you have, the Shure MV7, fantastic USB or XLR microphone. It has both ports in the back, depending on which one you get. That's my recommendation for intermediate level microphones, audio.
You should send that, because a lot of the stagers, they do shows and so forth, and you will see something. So I've got the ring, the light ring. I got the little mini light ring, and then I got a baby light ring. Don't ask me how to use the big one, because I can't ever figure out how to connect it right. So there should be better tutorials. I've got the Mevo cameras. I had drones, and so we'll buy gadgets, but we don't really know how to use them. So a tutorial or being able to have a class or something would be excellent.
Hey, Mike, is there any chance you're free the 24th, 25th, 26th of February?
All 3 days, or one of the 3 days?
One of the 3 days. You should come down to New Orleans.
I don't have much booked out that far.
You should see what this is and be in front of hundreds and hundreds of home stagers that are extremely high end, that I want to say probably 90% or more are licensed real estate agents. And this is a system that you should see. Some of the people, and I'll let Jenny talk about Lynn and those guys if she wants to. But I mean, like the properties they do down in Boca, where Matt and John live, we're talking about, the cheap ones are 1.5, 2 million, tremendous amount of, not only 7-figure, but 8-figure property, stuff like that. So I think it would be a good thing for you to see. And I've got a table there that is set up for anything I want. So it'd be a great place for you to sit.
That's intriguing. Let's talk about that offline.
Okay.
Definite possibility. I got more than a month notice, so I won't be blindsiding my wife or the kids. So that's always a good thing.
How old are your kids?
9 and 1.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
they're almost Irish twins.
It's a circus. we have a lot of fun, and we also do not. So
hopefully the 9-year-old is somewhat helpful. You thought you were done with those sleepless nights and the diapers. You're like, you're back.
I know.
But babies are so cute.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're done now. We're sufficiently done now.
You made sure
because my wife has moved on to trying to adopt all the neighborhood cats. So
I think she's
satisfied with human kids.
If you haven't done something to permanently make that for sure, you might want to, because we have friends that when I got pregnant with number 4, it was a week before his snip, and I had to, I sat him down. I'm like, I'm pregnant, and I felt like I didn't just want 3, I really wanted 4, but I didn't do it on purpose, type of thing. And so he was shocked. And then our friends, they had 4 kids, and then the guy's like, nobody's touching me down there. A month later, they get pregnant with number 5. He goes running in. So
oh Lord,
oh no.
Oh Lord!
Between the two of you, you got a baseball team.
We would spend a lot, and it's big families. Our kids loved each other and still do, but it's So I'll just say that and I got pregnant while on the pill and nursing twice.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
lovely.
Oh, I got so lucky. Well,
aren't you all glad that you tuned in for this ultra valuable mortgage and real estate?
Real life, yeah.
Jenny.
Yes.
Home staging. This is a much bigger part of the real estate industry than most people know,
right,
or even want to acknowledge, because to a lot of agents or even mortgage professionals who are looking to expand their spheres of influence and gain a couple extra referral relationships here and there, back and forth, all of that stuff. People kind of think of home staging as high end only, or an extra expense that takes money out of your pocket, or something like that. So can you give us a little background on how and why you got into this and what you've built here?
Sure. So staging, it's been around for many, many years, but didn't really take off until like 1999 was when the first classes came about. So somebody like myself could actually learn how to run a business. And I got trained in 2002, and I was in an area where staging was not being done at all. It was, no houses were being staged. It was a hot market. But I saw an opportunity because we were moving there, and I looked at probably 80 houses for sale, and they might have good curb appeal, but you'd walk in and it was like beds unmade, food on the counter, just dirty. And I thought, I'm not excited about buying this house, right? And so I thought, I'm going to start a staging company. And as I started growing, the realtors would say, oh, we don't need that, or go back to where you came from. We don't need you here. Or what is staging? I never heard of that. And probably the funniest one was I had signage on my car. So it says, home staging, the company name, preparing homes for sale, occupied homes, vacant homes, redesign. And this mom comes up to me at the school. She says, so you do home staging? Does that mean you do like puppet shows for kids' birthday parties? I was like, no. So the whole, it was such a new concept back then, and it continues to grow, but we still have a ways to go to be, no market is fully saturated. And I would say probably by 2005, 2010, it had entered most major metro areas. There were stagers setting up businesses, but still it was a struggle. I remember just going to World Market Cost Plus to get a designer discount, but I wasn't an interior designer. So she said, well, to get a discount, you need to put a Yellow Pages ad in, which, nobody does that anymore. I had to bring my career book, my credentials, my business license, a vial of blood, my firstborn child. It was like this ridiculous to verify that I was actually legit. And so flash forward to where we are now, staging definitely is necessary. The market has shifted, as we all know, so sellers have to do more to get a buyer to want to buy their property. And I think I've heard more in the last year than ever from agents. I've never had to use a stager before. This is my first time, and they've been in business for years. And I don't say this out loud, but I will share it here. What my mind says: you've always had to use a stager. You just didn't, because you either didn't believe in it, were too cheap, or just weren't thinking bigger picture. Because when a house is staged, it will always sell for more than the unstaged competition. And so they're leaving money on the table. Even in a hot market, they could have gotten more. So that's our education, that we're constantly having to be out there to educate the agents. And
what kind of data do you have on that? Do you have anything off the top of your head? I hate to put you on the spot, but when it comes to actual price bumps because of staging, that's a pretty trackable thing.
Right. So we do, we need to do another survey this year, but homestagingstats.com. So we did a survey last year, and anywhere from 5 to 20% more for a property that's staged versus one that's not. Then NAR has a profile of home staging. So they bring it out every odd year. So they should be bringing it out this year in March. Okay. And their surveys, very intense. They send out surveys to thousands of agents, and then they take it from the listing agent, the selling agent, the buyer, and the seller's perspective, the impact of staging. And they'll say like 81% of buyers say a staged property is easier for them to visualize as their home. This last go around, they included the influence of media. Shows like HGTV and TLC and all those shows about properties, that what the buyers expect, over 80% of buyers expect the houses to look like they do on television. And so when sellers are selling, it's it's not about, I don't want to spend the money. It's like they don't understand. You don't keep the money you don't want to spend. They need to look at it as an upfront investment to maximize the rate of return, because what will happen is when they don't stage, the property will be listed lower, or it'll sit longer than it needs to, and it's going to drop in price. And that equity drop is always 5 to 10% of the list price, and the staging is usually, way less than that. So that's kind of the mindset of people not understanding why they have to do something different to their property.
Because even on the low end here, say just work with the 5% figure, just because that's kind of the entry level of what this data is showing. With a nationwide average purchase price hovering in the $450,000 range, 5% more is a ton of money. You're looking at over 20 grand. So how often does a home staging cost more than 20 grand?
It's all relative to the property price. So that if you went into the 20 grand, 30 grand price, you're looking at markets like LA, maybe South Florida, but the properties are in the millions, and we're not talking a $400,000 property.
Your percentages are translating to much higher dollar figures.
Right. And sellers need to know, like, the staging is an IRS, it's a write-off. There's, it's considered marketing or advertising. So it's not, there's a lot of benefits versus a price reduction. That's just a loss. That's just money you're not going to ever see. And so it definitely is important. And staging is part of the real estate industry. There are sister industries, like we have interior designers that are part of our association. Of course, real estate agents are a big one. Designers, where we have, short-term rental people that are part of it. But, staging is part of real estate. It's rooted in real estate. And the whole reason we exist is to help these houses sell. So our bread and butter client are the real estate agents. And then, of course, investors have come on strong the last decade. You have builders. Although the builders, I bet stagers are going to get a lot more inquiries from builders, because I read an article that 68% of housing starts or housing commitments for KB homes were canceled in the last quarter. And that's just one builder. That's happening everywhere because people are pulling out because of the interest rates. And so we're already hearing, I've already been contacted by some of these big production builders. They call them inventory homes, but they're ones that people were going to buy. They backed out. Now they're sitting empty. So stagers, and when the market slows, should get more productive. What I'm seeing, though, is the uncertainty of the inflation and the interest rates, the market. So how long do they have to keep it staged? How much is this going to cost me? And that is a cause for concern for people. It's definitely real.
But Mike, I want to hit on 2 points real quick so you understand, because that was one of my big things also. I knew when I saw some of these pictures, when I saw and met some of these stagers, that there is no way that the only people who can have anything staged are people that are just ridiculously rich. And it's not true. It's not accurate. I'll give you an example. So my wife, who's a real estate agent, had a property listed not very long ago that was a $1.2 million property. We were just coming out of that buyer frenzy where it was starting to cool off a little bit. And the owner of the property said, do you think we should have the home staged? And my wife always puts it in there. Every home should be staged. Doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. $1.2 million house. And here in Texas, $1.2 million would have gotten you about 6,500 feet on the water. Wow. Amazing view, 3-car garage, actually 4-car garage. Just absolutely insane. My wife called one of Jenny's stagers out and said, can you come look at this? And it's one of those things where it's not like it's going to be $10,000 to stage this house. It is, here are 3 examples of what you can do. The least expensive would be this, and it is to give an idea. The middle, and this is what she recommended, I would go with this one. And what we're going to do is, I believe it was 3 rooms in a hallway or something like that. And it was $2,500.
Okay.
If you wanted to go max and really show this house, and I believe it was $4,500. So for a $1.2 million house for somebody who is a professional, and Jenny, you know who I'm talking about, to me, that was more than reasonable. Now,
absolutely,
that's one thing I wanted to hit on that you just asked. The other thing I want to hit on, and I think that for me, again, I was embarrassed to ask this question because I thought it was, I was going to get, taken out back and beat up or whatever. But I had made the mistake a number of times. And luckily, Lynn was the one who, she's not big enough to truly hurt me, but she would still smack me.
She could probably challenge you to an eat off and win, though.
There you go. I had made the mistake of saying something like interior designers or decorators or something like that. And she said, no, we're stagers. Most of us will do that also, but we're stagers. And I said, what is the difference? Jenny, would you please explain what the difference is? Because I don't think anybody knows this.
Right.
I have an idea.
Let him answer.
I'll probably be completely wrong. So
yeah, and I'll preface. So Lynn Spacer, she's one of the owners, and she's this tiny little thing, and she eats like you wouldn't believe it. I don't know where the food goes. So that's why I made that joke, because she's always about what am I going to eat? Where's my next meal? Because she's always hungry, but it doesn't stick on her at all. So the difference between designers and stagers. So an interior designer or decorator, when they go into a property, they're personalizing the space. So they're working with the homeowner. The homeowner has input about, if they like colors or whatever. I might not think that they're great, but that's what they want. That's what they're going to get because they're paying for it. It's for their personal enjoyment. Versus staging is being done for the unknown buyer. We don't know who's going to buy the house. We have an idea based on demographics. So we have to make it much more broadly appealing. And what I love about staging versus designer decorating is the seller is out of the equation in the staging part. Now, they might be paying for it, but it's not being done for them. It's being done for the target buyer. So the stager then is in complete creative control based on what we know the target buyer is going to want to see. So a seller might go, I hate that piece of art, or I don't like the colors you use. Doesn't matter, because you're not buying your house back. You just need to trust that I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't do something that isn't going to help your house sell. And so the process is different. And then the involvement, being able to have that free reign, not have to, handhold or consider what the homeowner, that whole drama. And design projects usually take much longer. When I've spoken at market, the designers will be there and I say, how many projects do you run annually? And they'll say on average 6 to 12 is a good number for an interior designer. And I'll say, try 300 to 400 in a year. That's what a stager does. And we did 385 stagings last year. And there's people that do way more than I do. And so it's a quick turnaround. It's not about the aesthetics and the ego, which sometimes can come into design. It's basically like, we got to get these houses staged. It's okay to mix woods. It's okay to mix metals. So you don't get as hung up on that. And it's also the front loading. A designer doesn't have to front load the merchandise. Whereas stagers, that's what we have to do, or you have to find a resource like a rental company or another colleague who rents their stuff out to be able to stage these properties. Because I don't know where people think that furniture comes from. I think in the beginning, you just take it out of your house, don't you? And well, I did do that in the beginning, but not anymore, And so you have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in product, and in order to get these properties sold. And that's why, if it is 20,000, 10,000, 5,000, that stagers made an investment. They have overhead, they have logistics. The fuel prices, when they went up, we have a big diesel truck, a 26 footer. That thing is a beast, and it hogs fuel. And, so then I had to increase my delivery logistics because I don't want to lose money. So it is a true business. And that's what I really hope that, real estate agents and builders and investors and sellers who want to use stagers, it's not just a hobby where we just go raid our own house and bring stuff over to put in someone's house. It's a thoughtful, like, what's the color scheme? Who's the target buyer? What scale of furniture should we use? What style do we need to use? Is it mid-mod? Is it contemporary? Do they want farmhouse, rustic? Even the terminology, people will say, oh, I want modern, because they think modern is like today, but modern is actually 1920 to 1950. And Art Deco to mid-mod, and then you had some of the 70s. It's contemporary is really the term that they mean. So it's a constant education process for the people so that they sound knowledgeable to their clients. And but that's really the big difference. I think designers, they do dip into staging. They'll get into it, and I just think they need to be prepared for what they get into. It's not as glamorous. I mean, the shows that are out there with the designers, they might be wearing something like this, and they have if I was staging, I wouldn't have makeup and hair. I'd, roll out of bed, put my stuff on. Who's going to see me? And you're sweating,
You're carrying furniture.
Yeah. I mean, one of my team members had
not dressed for a photo shoot.
No. Yeah. We were shoveling snow out of the driveway because this client didn't do it. And so it's like, it's labor intensive, but it's rewarding because you see that instant transformation.
But you heard,
and you're not somebody who dabbles. You're not somebody who dabbles in staging. No. You mentioned where the furniture comes from. Does it just come from your house? Not your furniture. Like you have this big diesel truck that you transported on. And before we hit record, Jonny mentioned the warehouse that you keep the vast majority of your stock and inventory in. What's the square footage of your warehouse?
So he said 100,000. It's 16,000, but it's large. So they're 16,000 square feet. And I started with garage, and then storage units, and then more storage units, and then bigger storage units, and then small warehouse, and then doubled, and then now this one, and then doubled this one. So
Mike,
it's a
did
constant.
You catch the number? 385 homes last year. So that's 30 plus a month. Think about it. What a pain in the butt it is for you to go find one couch. So she's got a minimum of 35 couches out at a time.
Well, probably more like. Yeah, I mean, and if some houses, like one house we're picking up today, there's 3 living rooms, 3 dining rooms, an office, so it's, and then some are, if they're high end, we have certain product for that. If they're condos, so and it's fun. I mean, people think, oh, you get to go shopping, and but it's a big capital outlay, and then having to stay on trend.
Fun to go shopping, but when you're shopping to furnish more than a house a day in the year, sooner or later, shopping doesn't sound so fun anymore.
Oh, I know, these ladies, and I don't want to just say ladies, but the people that do this, they go to, what's the big one? Is it's in the Carolinas, that shop?
High Point Market or Vegas.
So they go to this and they buy 18 wheelers full of furniture to be delivered to them. That's out of their pocket. It's not on credit. It's not like pay me whenever you use it. They've got to buy it now, have it delivered, logistics to their property. So from whatever in North Carolina to Denver, for her to get this stuff to be able to continue to do this business.
Yeah. And the supply chain, when COVID happened, that really was troubling because the containers coming over from, the East, where they would, China and Taiwan, where they make the furniture, where they either stopped shipping, they were shipping other things that needed, or they weren't shipping because of COVID. So prices went up and things are just now starting to come back down. But yeah, the capital outlay is, it's significant. There's a lot of that. So my business, I always bought things as I went along. My business is funded everything. I never took out loans or anything like that to pay for it. And we don't advise people to do that because you don't want to be financially strapped. But it's an exciting business because we're helping people achieve their goals, and but it's also can be very lucrative. And some stagers, if they just want to have like 4 or 5 figures, that's fine. 6, 7 figures, easily achievable.
That's fantastic. I want to talk a little bit more about your association because I know that we mentioned that in the beginning, but we kind of passed over it and breezed on it. But I really think that's a focal point. Please remind us of the acronym, what it means, and why someone would want to be a member. Because I know it's an association for home stagers, and I know that that's kind of the core thing. But before we actually hit record, there was something really interesting that Jonny said, that ton of your members are actually licensed real estate agents, realtors, and things like that. So what is your association? Who are your members?
So the association,
and why are you doing it? Yeah.
So International Association of Home Staging Professionals. So it's IAHSP, and we do pronounce it IHOSP, not like IHOPs like the pancakes, but it's a kind of an odd acronym. So it's been around since 1999, and it was started for stagers. And then over time, and most recently, it also has morphed into, it's an association for stagers, real estate agents, designers, short-term rental people, any of those people that are, peripheral industries. It's just basically for business support and growth. And our members are from all over the world. We have a sister association that was launched in Europe, and then we've just launched South Africa, Brazil, Peru's coming, Japan, obviously Canada. And so, it's global. And so our goal as an association is to be a resource for growth and support for our members, help them succeed. So we provide education. If somebody, for example, has a course, they can actually upload it to our site and they can make money off their course because we have a big audience. Podcast, the same thing. You could put your podcast on there and reach an audience. So I really like the direction that the association's heading as far as offering more things. And education, of course, is huge. We're the only association that requires education to join. So that to me is a really big foundation. To me, somebody who wants to have a business, you should have some sort of foundational education. And I know there's a lot of information out there people can find on YouTube and Facebook to kind of glean something together, but taking a course that sets you up for success is really important. So we
this
have
is
that
not
as
just
our
one of those write a check and we'll let you in type of association.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't agree with that. And I think that's an important standard. And in fact, at our conference where Jonny's speaking, we have the professional stager designation we're giving out, and it will be issued. The sessions that they have to attend will be about the market, real estate market trends, best business practices, and then staging trends. So what's coming. And so then they're on top of that. And then every year, the goal would be to have education that they would be on top of that, renew their CE, just like realtors have to do. And then it will up the standard of the industry. So people will say, okay, this is a professional stager, not a hobby person. And there's nothing wrong with people who just want to dabble in it. However, it's kind of the difference between a for sale by owner and a realtor. And then the real estate agent at least has had to pass a test. They had to get education. So a hobbyist is like the FSBO versus realtor. That's the good analogy.
I like that. That's a really good analogy. So what does it take to get into the association for anybody who's interested?
So they can go to
we mentioned the membership fee is $250 a year, right?
Because we have three different. We have silver, which kind of lets you take a look at the site, but you can't really get anything. That's complimentary. There's no charge. Gold is $250, and then I think platinum is $450 or something, and they get more features and benefits. And then the conference coming up, so then they can go to IAHSP.com and join as a member.
And I'll put a link in the description wherever this is posted, so anybody can click on that and get a little bit more info if they want to.
And then the event coming up in New Orleans. So we've always, since the very first conference was 2003, that was the very first one that was ever done for the industry. Small number of people attended, and I remember going, and I was the youngest person in the room, and there were no men, which was interesting. And then within 2 years of the men had started to enter the industry, and I was no longer necessarily the youngest person. But you flash forward, we've had events and conferences to help educate our members, and we have fun. You want to just get together and see everybody. So New Orleans, February 24th, 25th, and 26th. The 24th is the kickoff. We have our vendors coming that, have special arrangements with our members to offer discounts. So there'll be some shopping people can do. And then we have our kickoff, sort of welcome event registration Friday evening, DJ, stuff like that. And then Saturday, Sunday are 2 full days of education. And Jonny is speaking on Sunday. He's keynote marketing. He has the longest session because I think you're one of the only people I know who talks faster than I do.
I was going to say, just be nice because he's the longest winded. We all know it.
No, he gets a lot of information in there. So he'll be there on Sunday, and then Sunday night we have our big awards gala, and it's the Mardi Gras masquerade ball. So people might come in costume, and so
some people may come in costume. You ought to see this guy. It is. So you've got all of these people that are the most creative thinkers in the world who have the most amazing style of anybody in the world. And when they come in costume, it's not like they're wearing a mask or they're wearing, a flashing bow tie or something like that. They come out in costume, and I'm telling you, it looks like kings and queens from, you know, these fictional history shows that
That's
you're
awesome.
watching on TV and stuff like that. That really, really blew my mind how much they're a part of this. It is some of the greatest people I've ever been around and some of the greatest people I've ever been involved with. And I truly, I feel blessed to even be part of it. And how I became part of it was just an accident. But it just absolutely one of the greatest things I've seen and I consider it part of our industry. That I have seen for our industry, because so much education is an emphasis every single day. It's about making yourself better and educating yourself. And so much of it, anybody who says they're in business, it's not for the money, it's because they love it, they're full of shit as far as I'm concerned. They want to teach you. They want to teach you to level up. And over the past 3-4 years of being involved with this, I've got to watch them take brand new people and show them how to escalate and show them how to elevate and how to make it bigger and how to make it better. And I got to see this firsthand, watching these people grow through a pandemic and all of this. And it's just, you've got to be a part of it. And I really feel like this one, I think, is called The Greatest Show on Earth. Is that?
Well, it's called, The Greatest Show. So I took it from The Greatest Showman, that theme.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. I'm telling you, every single one of them should be called that, because that's what this is. And you meet these people. And I went there with no understanding of what this is. And I'm not kidding you. I thought of it as a home stager did 2 or 3 houses a month, just like a realtor. And that was normal. And then all of a sudden I start meeting these people and watching and seeing and how it's not just business. Jennie looks absolutely stunning and beautiful now. But like she said, she rolls out of bed, goes to shovel snow to get a house done or whatever it is. But these vendors that she personally deals with to get the discounts on, to help the people. So not only is she staging 35 homes a month and then bidding on who knows how many and all of those things, she's also building this thing and talking to Sherwin-Williams and talking to whatever the manufacturers are, furniture and lights and mirrors and pictures and all of these things. It is, from a business standpoint, it is one of the most mind-blowing, mind-boggling things. And I think anybody in our business would look at that and just get worn out watching what's happening.
Well, and to be fair, I have a team in place. So that's one of the things we teach. We have beginner, intermediate, and advanced education. Like one of the first speakers, Nikki Watson, she's out of Dallas, Fort Worth area. She has like 300 houses staged at any given time. That's huge. She's now on HGTV. She did some of the sort of national radio shows. So she's like on the map. She actually has she makes me tired. So she has like a development she's now doing with a builder. I mean, she's like in all sorts of things. She's also one of the people that teach some of the courses we have. So she'll be one of the speakers, and her journey, she's going to tell her story. This is me type of thing. And then, but we have outside speakers like U.S. News and World Report to talk about the real estate trends. We have an Airbnb design. The person in charge of that, she'll be talking about the Airbnb. We have a couple from, I think they're from Virginia or Atlanta, but they do the Airbnb. So we're going to have the investors speaking, and then we'll have a stager who has got into that realm. So it's more panel discussions, and everything is geared to help somebody. It's like, as you said, a lot of the stagers have other hats they wear. So they could be real estate agents, they could be short-term rental specialists, they could be interior designers, they could be property managers. There's a lot of them that have, delved into other niches, which is important because as the market slows, somebody isn't great at marketing, which is why we have Jonny coming. They go, I don't have any business. You see it on Facebook. And I'm like, my pipeline is full because I know how to market. I listen to people. And so it's important to have that. But let's say that you're in an area where every house for sale, there's no more houses for sale. And I'm a home stager. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Well, we always say have a niche that doesn't tie to the resale market, color consultations, home makeovers, design, the Airbnb, all of that. Those are added revenue streams, and even the real estate, so that you're not going to starve. And so the association caters to all of those. So real estate agents that are watching, because I know Jonny has a huge real estate agent audience, the education is not just home stager centric, it's business building, it's business centric. It's going to, give people information about, what's happening within the home staging real estate industry, but also just as a business owner, mindset, marketing, sales, all that stuff that people need.
Teams and systems.
Teams. Yeah. Building teams. That's something we added that's new. There'll be actually education for people who have team members. And there's 6 stagers on the team counting me. So I'm rarely in the field every day. And then I have our movers. So I coordinate logistics, but I'm hoping to transfer that over. And what we ultimately, when somebody starts a business, you don't want it to run you. You want to run your business. So you work on it, not in it. We've all heard that. So scaling and delegating, all of that is taught so that a business owner, you don't become a slave to your business, because then that's no fun, right?
I forget who I heard say it many, many years ago, but they said if you're necessary for your business to operate, you're not a business owner. You just work for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Once you're actually able to step away for a couple of days and take maybe a little trip with the family, and then come back and have your business still there and everything's all been functioning independently, then you've actually built something with some legs that you can scale and
Do
grow.
me a favor, Mike. Repeat that one more time and say it a little louder for the people in the back.
For the people in the back, once you do I have no, I don't have a fun voice effect that I'm going to put on. I'll just
No. I want you to say it again. I want people to understand that you should not be, your business should not be dependent on you.
No. Yeah. If your business is dependent upon you, then you are more working for yourself than acting as a business owner. I think business owners are, and that's the key term. Business owners, the people who run successful businesses, are working on the business, not in the business. When you're necessary in the business, you're a worker, be like anybody else. Now you might have the most to gain or the most to lose, but that's
you
not
have to delegate, and
it's not independence. It's not freedom.
Yeah. And the 2 days after the conference, the 27th and 28th, there's the advanced stager training. And this is for 6-figure and above stagers, because once you get to that level, you're like, okay, you either stay status quo, or you're like, I have to grow and expand. I need to build a team. I need to duplicate myself. So that requires like standard operating procedures and, the planning and the logistics. And we just partnered with a finance company that can help people with business expansion. And so
it's hard to do, because once you start thinking, I need to duplicate myself, I need to hire another me, that's impossible. You need to adjust your expectations. Unless you're going to make somebody an equal shareholder in the business with you, you can't expect them to work as hard as you're working.
Right.
So naturally, once you build a team, you're going to be hiring a whole bunch of people who aren't going to work as hard as you, because they don't have as much to gain or lose as you do.
They don't have the same.
And you need to have those realistic expectations going in.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is, if you have processes in place that people can duplicate, because, staging, it's fun, it's intensive, it's, time, it's, all those things. It's not rocket science. I mean, there's a process we learn. It's not cookie cutter, but it's, you can teach somebody your process for your company, and then delegating, and then not being a total control freak. So I remember one of my colleagues, she had a team set up a staging, and she was in the Washington, D.C. area, and she looked at the pictures, and they put an orchid on top of the refrigerator. And she goes, I hate that orchid. I'm going to go remove it. And I said, how far away is this house? She says, it's an hour away. And I said, you are not getting in your car and driving 2 hours round trip to move an orchid. I said, that's not a reason the house ruler won't sell it.
Please value your time more than that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like when my team sends me pictures of the staging, if there's something that's like really off, I'll be like, we got to fix that. But otherwise I'll use it like teaching tools. There was a rug that they had oriented it one way, and I said, it will probably look better the other way. And a colleague who does have a problem delegating, she was like, you went and fixed that, didn't you? I said, no, I didn't go get in my car and fix that. I said, I just told him for next time, do it this way instead. The house sold. So it's not like, that's where people have to you have to release that and not be so, tied to every little tiddly thing, because you've got to get out of your own way.
You got to ask
Not
yourself,
everybody
objectively sometimes, is the rug orientation going to make or break the sale of this house?
And people walked in the same day and said, I'm not buying this house because of that rug.
Exactly.
The rug, they should have twisted it the other way. We're moving on.
Top of a refrigerator does not deserve to have their house sold.
That's right.
Well, that's right. Well, actually, speaking of the rugs, though, that actually has been this debate, like it started a few years ago, where some people were, saying you can't use 5x7 rugs in houses. It must be 8x10s or 9x12s.
Of course.
Basically, if you're 5x7s, it's a loser. And I said, I've used 5x7s. I have the larger rugs too. And I said, the day that somebody says I'm not buying the house because that rug is too small, is the day that I will switch and not use them anymore. And
circular rugs only from now on. They can't.
Right,
It doesn't matter which way you put them down.
I know. And then a realtor who's also has a staging company, he says, as from a real estate perspective, you don't want to hide the selling feature. What's the selling feature? Is it the rug or the floor? It's the floor. So sometimes if the floor is ugly, yes, I'm going to put a bigger rug on, or if it's a large room, you'll use that. But yeah, that became a whole thing. And there's still people that don't agree with me. They're like, oh, she's wrong. It needs to be a bigger rug. And it's subjective. And even just from a logistical standpoint, 8x10, 9x12 rugs they're like dead bodies when you carry them. They're heavy, they're long, and a new stager, a 5x7 or a 6x8 is much easier to stick in a car, to carry, to transport. So and you can I've actually put 2 rugs together that were the same to make a bigger rug when I didn't have a bigger rug. So there's ways, to get creative, but to say that, that rug is absolutely can't do it. It's just silly. So sometimes we get these debates within ourselves.
And anybody who's in the market to buy a rug for their house, as soon as you start looking at the pricing, 5x7s look real good.
Exactly.
They really do, because bigger rugs are freaking expensive, man.
Yeah,
I want to hit on something that means a lot to me about what she does, and I never realized it. I heard it, but I never realized it until I actually saw this. So obviously my wife's a real estate agent. I'm a mortgage person. We do open houses. Doesn't matter. We're not in the market, but we go look, especially new builder stuff, always go look what's going on, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I hear all the time, especially in these newer high-end homes that have not been staged, and I hear this all the time in these open houses, is people are walking around inside and walking in the house and they say, what is that area? What do you put in that area? What goes over there? What of ours would we put over there? And when I hear that, and I hear it repeatedly, that's one of the things that first struck with me. That's why you need a stager.
And how many responses from the selling agent? How many responses from the selling agent do you hear that begin with the words "just imagine"?
There you go. Yeah.
Or they'll put like a little picture up.
Or hire a stager, and people won't have to imagine so much. They'll just know what goes there.
I also want to know how Jenny knows that a 8x10 rug weighs the same as a dead body.
Oh, well, if I tell you
that I after show.
Maybe this is where Jenny from the block comes in.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and you're right. The visualization of a property, that's why staging is important. Because when buyers walk in, especially if they've been looking at a lot of different properties, they get confused about what they've seen. There's got to be something to make it memorable. And without staging, you know what they're going to remember? Flaws. They're going to start looking for something. Oh, that had a scratch on the wall, or this or that. And versus the emotional appeal of staging. And we can just touch really quickly on virtual staging. That sort of has come in like the last five years ish. It's a cheap alternative to real staging. And if selling a house were only about pictures, virtual staging would be great, but it's not. It's that emotional connection when they walk in the house, because most people are it's their biggest investment for most people. And so they're going to want to see it in person. They have to connect emotionally. And that's what the real staging does.
Virtual staging is like buying a robotic dog.
Yeah. That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Why on earth? Yeah. I see that, and it looks so bad. And especially, I don't know if it's like different software systems. Some are better than others, but some of them look so bad, and it just looks so. To me, it cheapens what it is.
I commend the effort. It's just not there yet.
Well, it's also because the people
It's just not there yet.
You think about the people doing the virtual staging, though, they're not professional stagers. These are Photoshop people probably from out overseas that do work on the computer. And so they'll actually add clutter. They'll actually add dishes, they'll add towels, they'll add stuff. I'm like, what are they thinking? And I can always tell virtual staging because the bed, they always kind of leave it a little bit messy. There's always some random plant like in a corner, and it doesn't quite look like it's on the ground. I do have to say it has gotten better, but it's jumping over pennies. Jumping over dollars to save pennies is what the analogy is.
Stepping over a dollar to pick up a dime.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I look for is shadows. So if you've got this beautiful outside view and you can see the sun is outside of that view over the pool, and there are no shadows on the legs, there are no shadows on anything. That's one of the things. And then one of the things I guess about the systems is a complete lack of consistency. So when the angles are different, they put the furniture in places that it wasn't before, and you go back and look at the pictures and stuff like that. But to me, this is what it says to me. It says to me that I am so cheap that I will not do this professionally, which to me is like putting a paint job, or what the making a silk purse out of a sow's ear kind of thing. I'm going to look very deeply at what else is there, because you have not maintained your property well, because you won't pay for staging. There are flaws that you don't want me to see. That's what it does for me when I see the houses that have been done in that really cheap, almost automated staging systems.
And I think for realtors, I think, the expectation has grown that the realtor is going to cover the staging. A lot of my clients pay for the vacant house staging. They'll cover it up front, and then as part of their listing benefits. I wrote an article that was on RIS Media, and I think Inman published. It was the 7 ways realtors can protect their commission. So if a realtor is going to contribute, they need to cap it. They need to make sure that the house stays with them, doesn't go to somebody else. If that happens, they get reimbursed. But it's a way for them to get listings over their competition. So by including the staging, some realtors will say if it's an occupied house, we'll cover a consultation. If you need a hands-on, you need to pay for that. But they're definitely partnering with the sellers, because if the seller is like, I'm not doing it, and they're being cheap or whatever, and the realtor's like, I know this is going to make a huge difference, then it's like beating them over the head. And these sellers can be resistant. The realtors will say, well, I'll pay for it. I'm going to pay for it. But then they've already negotiated their commission, and that person worked them over. So now they're getting paid less. And it's this open-ended thing that's going to drain their commission when it, depending on what the market's doing. So they have to be smart about how they position that, but it definitely can be used as a way to get listings over their competition and, make a big difference.
I think every realtor should have at least 2 stagers in their pocket at all time, to where they can have them either go with them after the listing appointment, during the listing appointment, give evaluations. I think that is mandatory and necessary. And the reason I say 2 is not because one's better than the other, but because one will be somewhere when you need them. One will be on vacation. Something will be there. And the other thing that I've noticed is stagers Jenny, you probably have a better way of saying this. There are personality types. So if you were a 7-figure, 8-figure listing agent, you probably don't want to take a FHA 530 credit score loan officer with you, kind of thing. And I think that is, I'll give you an example. For my wife, a normal average listing or buy for her is in that 300 to 400 range. So when it's a 1.2, this is a different level. This is something, especially here in Houston, Texas. Luckily, the stager that my wife likes and my wife recommends is somebody who plays in both fields or in all of them. She's an absolute amazing woman. And I don't know if we can say Deborah Plowden's name or not, but absolutely amazing at her job. And she's right here in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, and I think so. Yeah, some stagers will specialize in more modest, the luxury market, different type of product you have to use. Usually more of it, more quality items. So some stagers don't want to invest in the product, so you have to make sure that it's commensurate with the property price. But you're right, and I think it's also personalities. Not everybody's going to get along with. If somebody's a strong personality, maybe they're not going to relate as well to somebody who's more quiet. And as we teach the stagers, adjust yourself, read the room. Make sure that if you're that type of person, you need to adjust so that a client relates to you. But that's really it. That's also super important. And because
I would also say don't change who you are, because if you start changing who you are, then that's disingenuous to yourself. It's probably not going to end up good for your business either. And it's okay to not get everybody's business. Nobody's going to get everybody's business.
No, nobody bats 1,000.
No.
And a lot of real estate agents actually they look to get into staging because as the market shifts, I think, and I don't know if this will be true or not, but there was a lot of people in the real estate industry. Now that it's actually, you have to do work to sell a house, much more, you have to prep and so forth. I think a lot of the ones that got in the last few years where the getting was good, they're going to be leaving because it's very competitive and you have to have, staying power and a plan. So But a lot of realtors are looking at if their income is being personally impacted, they're looking at other niches, and a lot of them are coming to staging. They like the creative process. And to those people, I would just say, come to the conference, learn, meet colleagues, get plugged in. Another difference between staging and design, and this is not me saying this, sometimes designers, and this is the impression that I had or was given when I first got in, is that they can be too expensive. They can be sort of, off-putting, statusy or whatever. And I know that's not universal for all of them. Stagers, because we were considered kind of the ugly stepchild of the design world, we were seen as more like relatable, friendly. And so that sort of is translated into our association too. It's very warm and inviting. And anybody that gets in, and even in my market, they're not my competition, because I have my clients and they're not going to take my clients unless I do something to open that door and give them that opportunity. So I want to help people. I'd rather establish a standard, help them to know how to succeed, help them know how to price. That's probably the biggest thing the stagers are not being taught if they don't take a reputable course, is they don't know how to charge. And it's not based, it's not like you are working at JOB. It's based on the product that you're staging, which is the house. Just like mortgage people get paid differently, title, the inspectors make a good income. Everybody who's part of this process benefits. And it's not like, I made $20 at my JOB and I'm going to start a business. I'll get double my income and pay myself 40. You just left a ton of money on the table because you didn't know better. Right.
And for anybody who thinks that this podcast is more for realtors and home stagers, not for mortgage people, you're dead wrong, because a room full of home stagers is an excellent place for mortgage professionals to market now, because
absolutely,
it's not just realtors. Mortgage professionals who got into this business over the last couple of years got used to an industry where they could roll out of bed and fall into a pile of refinances. And that's not the case anymore. And everybody is trying to increase the realtor relationships and get referrals, and they're asking and not giving so much. But that's just kind of how it's going at this point in time. But how many mortgage people do you have approaching you as a home stager to build a relationship with? Probably not a whole lot.
Like the one that sold, the one we used to purchase our home, and then there's a guy down the street we did a refi through. But and we actually teach the stagers, we're affiliates. You're an affiliate, I'm an affiliate. Photographers, the pest people, the home inspectors, the title, we're all affiliates. We're all targeting the same people. So like if you have a newsletter or something like this, I could contribute an article, give some tips, and vice versa. There's way to, I call it cross-pollination marketing. Versus having to just do it all yourself. How many people do you have in your database as a mortgage person? You probably have hundreds, if not thousands, of potential real estate agents that you're, working to get in front of. And a stager only needs like 15 to 20 realtors using them consistently. So, I mean, if I had a buddy who was like if I was a new stager buddy, I'm like, hey, let me introduce me to your top 15 clients. Let me see how I can help. You're doing an education. I come and I do like the top staging tip of the week, or, what are the trends, and provide value to you for your clients. And that's partnering for success.
And vice versa. Because I mean, you just proved my point. Of two mortgage people. You staged almost 400 homes last year that were listed for sale. And two mortgage people,
and even bigger than that.
That's insane to me.
No,
All she needs is 15 to 20 agents to keep her business steady. Can you imagine being a mortgage guy that is friends with Jennie Norris that stages 400 homes a year, and that introduction to 15 or 20 real estate agents?
Exactly my point.
Yeah,
exactly my point. And that's not even including all the people that you might be talking to at a home staging conference or meetup or gathering or whatever it is, who are actually licensed real estate agents themselves.
Right. Well, and I would think like stagers will put signage in a house, like this house has been staged by, me and my company. For information, please click on this QR code. There's a reason why a stager couldn't also say, if you're looking to purchase this house, you need a good lender, click here. It could be co-branded. And I wouldn't even it's not like, oh, are they going to charge me for that to put the signage in? And no, it's like, you want to help people succeed. It's mutually beneficial. So it's about people getting out of the box and thinking about ways to extend their reach to help the colleagues that are, because I don't like being like this, like, here's my hand, give me some business. Give me, I need money. I'm like, referrals for agents too. Stagers need to be thinking about how can they bring business to the agents, the people they partner with. So it's not a one-way street. And, I've been able to provide referrals. they still have to win the business. And, you know, and we don't take a percentage like that. It's just basically like, thank you for using me. If I can help you get at least one additional listing or two, I'm happy.
It's not about getting the next deal on a silver platter. It's about getting the next at bat.
Yes.
And then if you're worth your salt, and you can knock one over the first baseman's head, then you might get an extra loan out of it. You might get an extra listing out of it. You might get, but either way, you're helping each other. It's a two-way road with this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
She just said something that really made me think. For a mortgage guy to, you know, this is one of those ones, say it again, say it louder for the people in the back. Think about this. So we're all trying to fight for the eyes of the real estate agent. Most of us don't look and see what kind of production they do, anything like that. We're just trying to fight for their eyes. Now, some of those agents are going to get a listing, and it's very, very unlikely that we're going to get a referral or a lead out of a listing kind of thing. Think about this for a second. Every single one of her jobs is for sale. Every one of them. She doesn't do any that are not for sale at the time she does the job. So what an incredible opportunity for people if they know how to approach it, know how to talk to and find and realize. And that's one of the things I'm telling you right now. When she said that, I thought about this. So first of all, Mike, you need to sign us up with IAHSP. So AFN is part of IAHSP. The second one is, and I've invited, my mortgage guys, and I'm telling them, there are 400 people going to this event. 90+% of them are real estate agents. And I hadn't even thought of what Jenny was just talking about now. Every single thing she does is for sale. And there is a sign in every property she does,
and not only is it for sale,
she deals with 15 to 20 agents to keep her business going. I said a real estate person needs to have 2 stagers. Every mortgage person out there should find out how they can help stagers build their business today.
And not only is it for sale, I'm going to take it one little step farther. When typically is the deadline based on when a home has to be staged and ready to show
before
for the open house?
Right.
So not only is everything you do for sale, but when the open house is going to be. And if there's any mortgage professionals out there who are willing to hustle and go work an open house for a realtor along with them, all that information is right there.
If I was a new loan officer, I would volunteer to do all of the logistics for her and be on that team to not only learn what it is, but to show I'm going to bust my ass and help you build your business. I'm going to drive the freaking truck. I'm going to carry the couch or whatever it is. I'm going to introduce you to every single real estate agent that I know that could use your services. I mean, this is one of those ones that as soon as it gets out and as soon as people realize the value of this, it's going to be too late by then. So this is something people need to do today.
And most, I said 15 to 20 using really consistently, but my database, any stager that's been, hundreds of agents that I've interacted with and their businesses wax and wane or, something happens, but I'm marketing out to a large database, either through Property Blast Homes. I use them a lot. And then also just my own like Constant Contact or MailChimp, my own database. And, if I send a newsletter out, I want something of content. I would love to have like, what are today's mortgage rates, or how can you what's, an article about, the rates are high, but how can a buyer be able to afford, because maybe the lender is be able to buy down points, all those things that I'm not a lender, but I would love to include that information out to my client database, because then it makes me more valuable to them because I'm giving them additional information. So it's a win-win.
This has been so amazing.
All sorts of good stuff. I don't want to keep you for too much longer because we've been on and recording for an hour.
That's great.
It's been a great conversation, and I know you have the conference coming up, which is going to be awesome. Again, what was that, February 24th through 26th?
Yes.
In just one of the most terrible places to travel to, right?
Right.
In New Orleans. So, can we get something on the schedule to reconvene and do this again after the conference, so we can maybe go over things that we talked about, things that we learned, whether or not I'm able to show up and ugly up Johnny's table a little bit. And
let's figure out how to get you there, and let's do it while we're there also.
Yeah.
And anybody who wants to register, there is a 15% off right now. So January 2023 is the code. It says 15% off the fee, and the ticket is like $590, which isn't, it includes meals and, the vendor expo and all the education and the designation and, goodie bags and stuff. So it's not, to me, it's a fair price, but we did bring a discount down just to help people get there. And the headquarter hotel is the Sheraton. It's right in the French Quarter. It's beautiful location. You can walk a mile to Bourbon Street if you want to go there and experience the craziness that's there. But it's a beautiful location. Every hotel room has floor to ceiling windows that look right out on, is that the Lake Pontchartrain or something? That's the longest bridge that goes over. So it's a great setting. And, we're going to have fun, and we have people from Europe coming over. So, it's definitely an international flair. And I met in 2003, when I attended the first conference, I met people that I'm still friends with, and your colleagues are what carry you through, because you're going through it together, and being able to meet those people and be able to pick up the phone and call them, or, get together at events like this or market. It's really valuable. I mean, they're like my sisters and brothers, and I love my colleagues. I love you, Johnny.
They love you. That shows dramatically that they love, adore, and appreciate you. And somebody needs to do what it is that you're doing. And most of us don't have the forewithal, or whatever the word would be, to do it. So I appreciate
it. Takes a village. It definitely takes a team, and we have a good one in place. And so the conference, if you're watching this, and I know, we're about 5 weeks away from the event, but don't wait to register, because we have to plan for numbers, and I got to know how many people are coming. So Absolutely. Get your ticket. Get your tickets. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much, Jenny, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I'd love to be a guest anytime.
Absolutely. We'll definitely have you back. Maybe you'll be one of our first repeats here.
That's good. Thanks. You guys have a great rest of your day, I guess, and a great weekend.
Thank you, ma'am. And I will see you in about 6 weeks.
Okay, awesome. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.